I don't know about you, but in my opinion, anxiety sucks. It's just so annoying. And it's just there. You just can't get rid of it. You just got to deal with it. So let me break down a very simple definition that I use for anxiety. Anxiety is fear of something that's going to happen in the future. Now, fear itself makes sense for fear of something that's happening right now. If someone holds a gun to your head, or better example, if you're like standing over the edge of a cliff and you feel fear, that fear is saving you from falling off the side. But anxiety, feeling fear of something that's going to happen tomorrow, say like a job interview, feeling this total level of discomfort, what's the point? It's not, it's just, I mean, maybe you could be preparing for it, but you can't because you're just freaking out, right? So, but what if you didn't have to? What if we could change the face of anxiety instead of being like just this thing that's there, this one-player game that's going on in your head with yourself? What if we could change it into a game? Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to jump up over here. Right now, as I said, anxiety is a one-player willpower struggle. It's all the thoughts and emotions that are going on in your head. I've got two different guys here, but they're both you. One is you saying, I'm going to rock that job interview tomorrow, and the other one is saying, you suck, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you're going to freak out, you're going to mess up every question. And here, take a whole bunch of fear and discomfort to go along with that. Right? That ain't fun. It's just horrible. Okay, let's change the face of the way we look at anxiety. And to do that, I'm going to show you how to turn it into a two-player game. But first, you have to understand what the instinctual core is and what the instinctual core perspective is. That's where you look at yourself separately, where you are your consciousness, your sentience, your being, your soul, whatever it is you call that makes you know that you're the one that's inside your head. You're the one residing in that body. And you, along with your conscious brain, the part of your brain that you have control over, that's it. That's what you are. And then there's something separate in there. There's this instinctual core. And the instinctual core is this, what we've heard of as primitive reactive brain. I also define it as like a culmination of all your survival instincts that use the dumbest part of your brain to try and make sense of the world. And this instinctual core was awesome 30,000 years ago. Everything it did helped us to help to save our lives, ensured our survival. But it just does not know how to react in this world. And when we let it run the show, or when we think it is a part of who we are, it starts to fill up our subconscious with a whole bunch of nonsense. Like, hey, freak out about that job interview tomorrow. Does it help you? Is it helping you in that situation? No. But like, what if 30,000 years ago was saying, hey, freak out right now that you don't have a shelter to sleep tonight, so a saber-toothed tiger is going to come along and eat you. Yes, that would be helpful, anxiety in that scenario. But we know when that job interview is, so that anxiety isn't helping us. And we also rationally know that if we don't get that job, we're going to keep on working, we're going to learn from it, we're going to try and find another job. So anxiety is just keeping us from preparing because it's making us feel that do something right now that you can't do, right? You lose your ability to think creatively, and you lose your ability to solve the problems, figure out how you can prepare, what you're going to be asked, what you could possibly ask in return, and what's going on, right? Okay, so now with this, we've now turned it into a two-player game, realizing that the fear that's being sent is from the instinctual core, and you're up here. And this is the subconscious brain. This is the playing field. But how do you know when it's the instinctual core talking? And how do you know when it's you talking, right? Well, we need the IC user's guide for that. This is something that I've worked on forever to show you basically a breakdown of all the different ways the instinctual core freaks out. Okay? And we turn that into our game board, right? So when that happens, I'll show you how to map it out to show you when the instinctual core is making you freak out and how to flip that. How to say, oh, okay, I caught you, I see. I'm going to let what you're doing to me pass through, and I'm going to take over, and I'm going to handle this situation with the human happiness drives of intrigue, appreciation, engagement, self-improvement, and purpose. Okay, now, warning, what this board game is, it's hard to understand in one go, one pass, like in a quick video like this. But once you get the gist of how this board game works, how you can start to learn how to control any toxic emotions and toxic thoughts going on in your head. So let me go on to an example of what I am talking about. Let's say we're going to be talking about this job interview, since that's the example I've been bringing up. Okay, at first, you're just sitting there freaking out because you've got this one-player game perspective where there's just this anxiety that you have to live with. Okay, but now we're going to use our game board to figure out why the instinctual core is doing that. Okay, and that's because this is the activation filter out here. This is everything that's swimming through your head, either through all your external sensory inputs that bring, your sight, your taste, your sound, all that stuff, or through thoughts that are coming through your head. With the job interview, it's a thought that's coming through your head that's saying, if you don't get this job tomorrow, you're going to die, right? Because the instinctual core sees worst case scenario. Because back in the good old days, caveman days, Stone Age days, 30,000 years ago, if you failed, you were very likely dead. Today, if you screw up that job interview, you're just gonna learn from it and go on and get another job interview. But the instinctual core doesn't know that. It knows failure to be death. So it sees that job interview in the distance, whether it's 1 week away or 1 year away, and it starts making you, it catches it. It says, uh-oh, safety concern, fire, alert, alert, alert. And it sends a judgment. This will kill you if you do not get the job, because it sees you do not get this job, you do not get the next job, you get kicked out of your house, you then lose all your money, you then turn to alcohol, that you then sleep in a park bench, and then you get stabbed in the middle of the night by someone who's worse off than you. It looks out that many steps and says, you're dead, right? But that's not the truth, okay? So it's sending that's the judgment. You're dead. And it's sending you a demand. The demand is, you can't do this. You can't do this. Run away, run away. And I'm sorry. I should have gotten rid of this human external reaction over here. You see, because this is what's going on. The instinctual core is yelling at you not only to run from this threat because you can't do it, but it's also begging you to make sure you attain that treat. And and if you don't attain that treat, you're going to be dead, right? So along with it, it sends fear. And since that fear is not over something immediate, that is the summation of what anxiety is doing. It's fear plus a whole bunch of thoughts of what's going to happen. Doomsday thoughts, right? So, you have been hijacked. Right now, the IC is winning. The instinctual core is winning the battle. But once you get into the two-player game, you're going to say, wait a second, instinctual core. When you start to treat this instinctual core as separate from you, you've got the upper hand. You can see that fear as separate from you. You can see the demands and judgments, the judgments that you're going to die, and you're a piece of crap, you can't do this, and the demands to run away as separate from you. And you're going to be able to start to let them pass right through you, right? You'll see them as you start to envision this instinctual core. And this is the whole philosophy behind the IC solution, is to see this instinctual core as a separate hijacker that just happens to be in your head. But he's not an evil thing. It's not an evil thing. It's this thing that just happens to be in your head that you need to learn to train. Just like you would train a puppy. Just like you would coach a little kid to play baseball, right? It just happens to be in your head. So when you're hearing the screaming, you say, that's not me. I'm going to let that screaming, that yelling, that freaking out that you're doing in my head pass right through. Just like if a dog was barking over and over again and you went and said, okay, you can sleep on the bed, dog. Then the next night, the dog's going to come bark louder. Same with the instinctual core. If you give in to its barking and you freak out, then it's going to come back louder. And, the job interview isn't a perfect example because that's something you are going to go to, hopefully, right? Unless you pick up a bottle because you have so much anxiety and you sleep right through it. But a better example would be for someone who has social anxiety and doesn't want to go to that party, right? And eventually it'll win out because it'll just say, flee the party, don't go. Or for me, as a former hardcore alcoholic, I would always drink before a party, enabling me to topple this pecking order thing and not worry about that. So the next step is now, since we're talking about the job interview, is we move over to this layer. Instead of being controlled by this alarm that's going off, safety, you're going to die. And instead of being controlled by the fear and the demands and the judgment, you start to look at the job interview in another way, okay? And you're no longer worried about attaining the treat or escaping the threat. You open yourself to the entire range of the human experience, and you start to look at this job interview with intrigue. Hey, what can I find out about this job? Where's my intrigue button? What can I find out about this job? What can I find out about the interviewer? How could I make a difference in this company? Oh, and what's happening? You're actually preparing for it because you've got intrigued in the challenge of what this job could offer, what the interview is going to be like, and you start to appreciate the interviewee, not like you would need her love or respect, but appreciate who she is as a person and get ready to chat with her and listen to her, understand what she wants, and you can understand what you have to offer her in return. And then you get fully engaged and start focusing in. Instead of freaking out by the emotions of the instinctual core, you start to engage yourself in how I can get best prepared. And then at the end of it, you say, okay, I'm ready. You still might have that instinctual core pop back up and say, come on, freak out. But you can, again, just let it pass right through you. And finally, then you have self-improvement. Obviously, this job is going to help out you in the long term. And you could find a way that this job might offer you purpose, a reason for being a part of something bigger than yourself. So that's how things work on the outside layer. And this is you winning. Back from what I showed you before, where the IC was winning the battle, you've moved from here to you winning the battle. All right, so that's my story. If you like this, if this helped you at all, please like and subscribe, because with the IC Solution, we're trying to help as many people overcome things like addiction, anxiety, depression. But if you want to start making these changes, figure out how to separate from your instinctual core and start to control your toxic emotions and your thoughts, or rather, start to control the toxic emotions and thoughts that the instinctual core is sending you, come join us at instinctcenter.com. I hope to see you there soon. You can join us in meetups to investigate your instinctual core. You can learn all about it. You can learn how to play this game and win, and start winning at your life. All right. Thanks for joining me. Adios. And pressing the button now, actually. Adios.